Okay, so we're here to talk about the neurodevelopmental approach. We're going to kick back and forth the whole evening because we just like to both talk, so rather than split up, we're just going to both kick in as we kick in. And, oh, please tell me this is going to work. It was working a minute ago. Oh, no. Okay, give me just a minute, Sylvia, talk. Okay. Well, then fixing the computer glitch. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about how I got involved in neurodevelopment. My son, when he was born, was very unique in his mannerisms. I remember when we took him home from the hospital at 3 days of age, the nursery nurse said to my husband, "You're going to have your hands full with this one." And we had no idea what we were in for. Garrett was later given numerous labels depending on which specialist we took him to. None of them seemed to really fit him. Nothing we did seemed to help him. Like sometimes it would help for a little bit, like maybe a couple of weeks, and then he'd revert back to previous function. Some of his labels were severe attention deficit or ADHD, attention deficit hyperactive disorder. He had bilateral integration disorder, sensory integration disorder, severe learning disabilities, and generalized anxiety disorder. Did I say sensory integration? Okay. Later on, it was discovered that he actually had Asperger's, which is a high-functioning autism. But back about 11 years ago, that wasn't, and we lived in a very, very small rural town in Saskatchewan, so autism was not, it was not the diagnosis of choice back there. So by the time Garrett was about 12 and a half, we had him on Ritalin, 60 milligrams a day. If anybody knows anything about Ritalin, that's a very high dose. He was on Risperidone, which is an antipsychotic for raging, and he was on Wellbutrin, which was an antidepressant. And while they did a little bit to curb the symptoms, we still did not have what I would consider a high-functioning son. He was extremely anxious. He had fine motor skill delays, gross motor skill delays, was socially immature, impulsive, had no concentration. He was in the school system, did most of his, actually I don't know why we did homeschool, because basically he did nothing in school because he could not concentrate. When at home was when we got the schoolwork done. He was very well behaved in school. Coming home was like taking a cork out of champagne bottle that had been shaken up all day. Like he would just explode. We decided that we were no longer going to repair the holes in his bedroom because he would like punch holes in walls. For those of you that maybe have that concern, posters are a great thing. They just move them around as they need to. He actually broke his knuckles once because he hit a stud. It was really bad. When we finally got to a neurodevelopmentalist, we had like probably this much hope left. And nobody could tell us exactly what was wrong with our son. Like we'd walk in, we'd get a diagnosis of ADHD, and I'd say, well, why does he have ADHD? Well, because he's distractible. Why is he distractible? Because he has ADHD. Round and round and went. At the neurodevelopmental evaluation, we were told the distractions were caused by auditory and visual and tactile inefficiencies in low auditory processing, which we'll talk about briefly. We weren't giving medication. We were given a program to go home with and work with our son. And he came on all his medication. The most exciting day of our lives was probably all standing around the toilet bowl, flushing the Ritalin down the toilet. And that's actually illegal, apparently. So I did not know that, but apparently it is a controlled substance, and apparently that is not the right way to dispose of it, so I would recommend it, but it felt really good. Garrett regained the water function, and because of that, I saw so many changes in my son and had access to other families throughout Canada and the US through a support group, and I decided, this really does work, and so I began the process of training. That was about 5 years ago, 6 years ago now. It's a very long process to become fully certified, and I continue along, and I'm very blessed to work with